So what I'm curious about is how, like, when you go back to having maybe potentially thousands of ancestors, like great grandparents, which one of those is the one that I would say that's where I come from? Because all of them.
Don't worry. That's why I kind of feel like it's an irrelevant question to be able to give you what I was hoping you might listen to what I have to say. This is what the prophets on the street corners for, to clarify these things, man. Okay, so
and that's where you guys are.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Prophets in the Bible, man. Cool. Just like I showed you. Start from 26.
This is Genesis 25, verse 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren.
Yeah, so Isaac basically, he was the son of Abraham. You know, the chosen son of Abraham. He had a wife, Rebecca, and she was barren. And he was like, hold on, you meant to be blessing my line. Like, what's going on? Like, aren't I meant to be having a son? And then, okay, so let's see what happened. He entreated the Lord.
And the Lord Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived.
Yeah, so the Lord opened up the womb, and then let her get with child, gone.
And the children struggled together within her.
So she had twins, struggling together, which, you know.
And she said, if it be so, why am I fuss?
That's it. She was, you know, she wanted to know what's going on. Like, why is it like she's there? There's an earthquake lying in her belly. She wanted to know.
And she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
So she went to inquire. The prophet told her basically through the Spirit that there's 2 separate nations in her womb.
And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
So there's going to be 2 completely different lines separated from her bowels, man. Even though they're going to be brothers, it's going to be the origin of different lines. Because you go back to the table of nations, which is like in Genesis 10, which we were reading earlier, and basically shows the separation of when the different nations started. But this is another one of them lines being separated.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
So one person's going to be stronger than the other. Now we're going to come back to this later.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
So it's twins. So I don't know if you've watched Game of Thrones. It's like the Lannister kids. They were twins. You know, Jaime and Cersei Lannister. They were twins. But obviously one came out first. And so it's the same here. The twins, the older's going to be the one that comes out first. So let's see who comes out first. He said the older will serve the younger, right? So the one who comes out first, he going to be the slave.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment.
So the first came out red. And what this is the first so-called white person that came about after the flood. Because before the flood there was what's his name, Cain, who had the mark of leprosy put upon it. But this was the first so-called. This is the progenitor of all these so-called white people you see around. But largely they go back to this guy, by and large. And they said it red all over like a hairy garment. And red, you see when these kids come out. Obviously they don't come out hairy. They just had there was a type of garment that they used to use back then, which I believe was soaked in goat's blood, so it's red. That's what he was likened to, that red garment. You see, when a so-called white child is born, they come out, they're all red, covered in blood.
And they called his name Esau.
Ashashwa, which means wasted away his heat, because he had no pigmentation in the skin. Because you know how so-called white people have, skin cancer, the risk of skin cancer. Now for melanated peoples, like every other nation other than the so-called white nation, they have melanin. When they go in the sun, it just gets converted into vitamin D. But then it's like, so-called white people, it basically builds up skin cancer within the skin because they don't have the melanin to convert.
You gotta be careful in the sun.
Yeah, you got to spank on that sunscreen. If you don't mess with the sunscreen, you regret 10, 20 years later. But I don't have to worry about that, mate. I just go out, man with the natural tan.
Like back at Esau.
And after that came his brother out.
Then after that came Jacob.
And his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
Yeah, so his brother came out. There was no description. because back in this time, everyone was dark skinned. You went to Noah and his 3 sons, all of them were dark skinned men, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So everyone was melanated in these times. That's why that's the significance of Esau coming out in red. That's why I was like, yo, wasted away you see, because it's like, damn. But hey, there was no description of Jacob. He came out dark like everyone else.
And it said, and his name, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him.
Yeah, so basically Jacob was, so you had the 2 brothers. One is progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel, which is so-called Negro, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The other was Esau, the progenitor of the so-called white race, who you've got, walking around today. So basically, like it said, those 2 nations, and it said earlier, one's going to be stronger than the other. Now let's go into, for example, heavyweight boxing. Since they got rid of the black heavyweight heavyweight world champion, who's been holding that the heavyweight championship since Israelites, man, Israelites. You got a lot of these boxing titles straight Israelites, man. And then running 100 meter sprint, 200 meter. Usain Bolt, that guy is, this guy made a world record while celebrating before he'd even passed. That's how you can see which. So who's the stronger? You can tell evidently Israel was the stronger man, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So that's basically, and it said the older, the one who came first, Esau, he was going to serve the younger.
So there was a separation. There was a time separation. I suppose I was just thinking, back to what you asked me, I was thinking, well, I guess, so I could come back from, you could trace it back to that point of the separation, with that side of separation. But then if there was a time before separation, then I guess everyone in that 2 sides would have also been traced back together before the separation. So, but what I'm realising actually is what we're talking about isn't so much right now. We're not talking so much about ultimate, like what we believe. We can talk about ultimate truths and the value of humility and realising that we are like this incredible light of God. But what we're actually talking about is something more. What we're actually talking about is something more human. We're talking about something that's aside from the ultimate. We're talking about what life is going to like for you.
What is set for you? No, what the limits of what you can do has been set from before you were born.
Okay.
Depending on where you go back to, that has already limited all the capabilities of your existence.
Now I'm kind of putting on to what this is about because I didn't know what I'm getting.
Now what you need to understand is I clarified about the so-called, the origin of so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
So we're talking about the limits of what was set for us before.
Yeah, because limits have been set already. Because if you're amongst that, we can go to, what is it, Amos I'm thinking about?
What is it?
It's like, not Amos, I think it's Ezekiel, man.
What's this here?
What do you call it? Is it 1/6 for Judah, 1/6 for Israel?
37
come together and they'll like.
37.
Do you mean that it's important for us to know the limits that are set for us? Is that what the
It's
point
important
is?
to know who you are. I've got a quick one for you. It's a new Bible.
So that's what you got to hear really, is kind of helping us to see the limits.
Well, it's about now. This Job 8:8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself for the search of thy fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow. So it's more or less, we need to go back and look where we come from, who our fathers are, and the former ages, so we can know what we're even doing out here. The thing is, you can just say, oh, I was born, I'm just here. But there's all kinds of history that goes back, which set up every event that's going on now.
Yeah,
World War II was a knock-on effect from World War III. The Korean War, the Cold War, all these different wars were a knock-on from World War II. These kinds of things. After them nukes got dropped, at the end of World War II, everyone knew, we need that nuclear technology, or we have no chance in a war.
So what we're going to do with our life? I guess.
Well, that depends, because. What was it? Okay, so you had what was the other thing I said before? Was it
is this what it's about? Like it's about helping us to understand how we are best able to live our lives. It's like I could learn from you guys how best I can live my life by understanding my
The thing
limits.
is, you need to know where you lie. Because the thing is, okay.
Know where I lie.
Yeah.
It's like knowing my place.
Okay, yeah,
So is the point about
17.
understanding my place in that separation?
Bro, you need to, the thing is if you're from the line of Esau and if you're from the line of Jacob, there's two completely different destinies that are allotted to them that are immutable, they're not going to be changed. So you need to know, this is why the significance of knowing who your father is and your grandfather is. Let me read
I'm actually
this.
kind of curious. Sorry to interrupt, I know you're on I'm trying to get what it is about, because I'd love to understand this, but the point of knowing where I come from.
Okay, you get Numbers 1 and 18. This is the significance.
Is it to have respect for people who are in different camps, or is
Bro,
it
it's
to like appreciate?
depending on where you go back to, or depending on whether you can be part of this. The Spirit's telling me, I've already got an inkling what you're going back to, but this is the significance done.
This is Numbers chapter 1 verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers.
Yeah. They declared their pedigrees, which, you know, if you ever seen a pedigree show, that's basically the line that you've gone back to, you go back to. And they said it was by what?
And it says, by the house of their fathers.
By the house of their fathers. So basically your line, your pedigree, goes back to the house of your fathers. So they need to know your father, your father's father, and your father's father, father's 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 father's, to know where you go back to. Because at the end of the line, there's going to be a guy named Esau, there's going to be a guy named Jacob, a guy named Elam, a guy named Ishmael, a guy named Ashur. There's all kinds of different guys at the end of these lines, but you need to know which one you are, so you know where your role is in the modern day. Now I'll give you, this is where, what's going to, give me Obadiah. This is what's going to happen.
Testing for the modern time, isn't it? Because testing for the modern time, because of course, men, women, the equality thing, why would it be only by a father's line? Why is the woman's line less?
Well, the reason why is because that's how God set up. The men hold the seat.
That's it.
It's just like women are like land. The thing is no matter what seed the woman go back to, she comes from a line of the so-called, she comes back to the line of Israel. She can have a child for any nation on the planet Earth. Just because she's an Israelite doesn't mean every child that comes out is an Israelite. Like I said, the house is by the father. That's how it's set up in the spirit. Men hold the seed. The word seed goes back to the word sperma.
And even the word father goes back to progenitor.
Yeah, progenitor.
Husbandry.
Yeah, because it's husbandry is what work on the ground. It's like in that metaphor, women are the ground and soil, and the seed that you plant is going to be from whoever it is.
So do you believe that my identity is more based on my dad's dad and his dad than
Your
my...
identity is purely based on that.
Not nothing to do with my dad, my mother's side, and my grandfather on
Your
my
physical
side.
characteristics can affect that,
Yeah.
but the spirit that inhabits your body
Right.
is going to be
So
based
talking about
on.
the spiritual side of existence.
It's literally set up from where your line came from. But look, this is the significance of why you need
This
to know.
testing me because I always think of like my physical existence as being spiritual existence. Like this is part of my spiritual existence as well.
Or your flesh.
Yeah. I see that as being part of
That's just flesh that you're in for a minute.
because I believe all of this is
The
part
thing
of the
is,
spiritual
what
existence.
you don't realize is that when you drop dead and you go back to heaven, whenever that happens, you got another body up there anyway, a celestial body. So that means that this is just some meat and bones, man. Stomp around.
It's just the body, innit? Comes from the Latin bode,
How
which means
incredible is
house.
dust? We made of dust. How incredible is dust when you think that it's created from the explosion of the galaxy that have been formulated for goodness
I
sakes.
know, man, the explosion of the
How
galaxy.
incredible we are made of
I know,
dust.
man, we're
So
in there
what is dust?
constructing.
See, I would never be able to say we're just that and like belittle something like that because it's so incredible. Something is
No,
incredible.
I'm not saying it's
nature.
I'm not saying it's no small thing.
Cool.
But the thing is what I'm weighing. I'm going into, this is life and death stuff I'm getting into right here. Because look, this is let's I'm going to show you the significance of Jacob and Esau.
Sure.
The thing is this is what you need to be hoping your line goes back to Jacob and dreading if your line goes back to Esau. That's what I'm trying to stress. So look, go on 17.
Obadiah, verse 17. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance.
So Mount Zion, Zion means monument, and the monument of who the world calls God is the 12 tribes of Israel. So within the 12 tribes of Israel, the descendants of Jacob, there's going to be deliverance, salvation from the coming destruction.
And there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall
put. It's funny because the word holy means separate, because we're separate nations. We're given the laws, we're given certain things to separate us from all the other nations, which is a big part of God.
And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
That's it. It's our house of Jacob. Right now, the so-called Negro, Hispanic, and Native American does not possess their possessions at all. If you go into the history, Puerto Rico goes back, means port of riches. And the reason why was when it went over there, when the conquistadors, these Hispanics, no, Españolas, Hispanas, or whatever the hell one applies to them, these Spanish went over there, they found a great amount of wealth, gold, gemstones, all these different things. And that is why they gave it that name. But you go there now, what's going on? Them guys didn't even have, after what was it, that hurricane went through, them guys didn't have like lighting. I think it was a month and a half, maybe 2 months. They didn't have no electricity. Them guys, they ain't got no, all that's been stolen. And that's the tribe of Ephraim according to the Bible. So basically, we're going to go back to having all the things that have been stolen and robbed from us returned to us, including our land. You go into the land of Israel now, who's there? The guys that claim they're the Jews, but they'll go back to that land, get into that after as well. We're going to continue on our diet.
And it says, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame.
I wonder what they're going to do once they become flames. Let's see.
And the house of Esau for stubble.
The house of Esau is going to be stubble before the flame. Let's see what's going to happen to them.
And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. For the Lord Yahweh have spoken it.
Yeah, that's it. So this is the destiny of the ones that go back to to Esau, the original so-called white man. So this is why because you with the appearance that you have, more likely than not, that's the man you go back to. So that's the destiny that's appointed.
So the destiny is there. And destiny, great, destiny's destiny, and what needs to be done will be done. So what I'm trying to understand now is, are you trying to inform me?
Well, yeah, I'm letting you know
is?
what's going to go down, man.
But is it like because you think it has to happen so that destiny can be fulfilled? Is it like you're playing your part in making that destiny happen?
Okay, you know what? You got 58. This is why. Oh, you got
55. I'll jump to 58. It's Isaiah 55 and verse 11. So shall my word be that go forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall...
So basically the word that goes out of the Lord's mouth, that's the prophecies in the Bible. The prophecies aren't going to return void. So whether we tell it or not, armed police could run up and just, mow us all down. But, regardless, the prophecy is still going to come to pass.
It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please.
Yeah, that's it. So the word prophecies are all going to accomplish what they're going to accomplish, whether whether we're out here or not.
And it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it.
Yeah, so it's going to achieve whatever the Lord set up for that prophecy, it's going to achieve it. So you got 58 and 1.
Yeah. Isaiah 58 and 1. Cry aloud, spare not.
That's what women do. Cry aloud, spare not.
Lift up my voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions.
So basically, we got to lift up our voice like a trumpet and show the people on this side.
Which is what you guys are here doing.
Yeah. Their transgressions, like I told you in the first.
That's right.
And the house of Jacob their sins.